So first of all, as we did before, we log in, we come to our project view. Something that's quite important, if you log into the stage version, it's the same project that is in the live version as well. So don't go in and start playing around and deleting stuff because that's live data. It's just another program around instead of the other version. So it's the same project. New project. We type in a name as usual and press create. We drop into the drive. We drag and drop a few our drawings or other files. We've also added support for TIF files. The DVG files are not supported at the moment, but that is something that we are looking forward to do. So in the future, we are going to read those as well. So
Did you say the DVG files? It's also
Yeah.
possible in the future then?
In the future, yes.
Okay, okay.
In the future. So we are looking to add those as well. So you can estimate on those. But for the moment, we are still on the majority of the files are the PDF files. Some are using pictures as well, and those works very great. So when I open it in Calculate, we are going to look quite familiar. We have the tools on the top. You set the scale with the yellow circle as usual, but the 3 dots in the corner has now changed, and we have our own settings menu down in the bottom left. And here we can put in the decimals if you would want to have 1, 2, 3, and up to, I think it's 10 or something. You can also set 0 decimals if you want to. Under the estimate column, we have how the program sorts. Yeah, it's the same settings. It's just another page just dedicated to all the settings. And something that we are going to look a little bit closer for today is also the rows, the columns for the rows. I'm going to show you in a bit. But here you can, just check off which one do you want to have. And this is something that will also come in your exports. So when you export all the values, the columns are going to be less or more depending on what you've chosen in here. And this is something under the objects. This is the default values or presets, which is coming in a small fix update later on, hopefully in July, where you can set the standards. So that's a little bit about the settings menu. So if we go back to our drawing here, you're going to use the same tools as usual. Something that has also added is one of these. This will drop down from all the different tools. So we can start by setting the scale, for example. So what this one does is I can preset the color before I start measuring by using, for example, changing color up here. And I do a measurement, and that will turn out the same color that I've already chosen. If I just continue to measure, it's going to still keep the same presets until I change. Or as you've been used to before, on the right side, you can also like force or choose the color as well. So it's just another possibility before you start measuring. The big news in this one is something that we call the rows or you've probably seen it. It's the bottom line down here where we can calculate stuff in. So I'm going to go closer on that one. And there's also something called an object template. So first of all, on the right side where we have all the values and settings for this object, we've now divided up all the values in different sections. So we have the gross values in one, which you can close and open depending on what values you want to see. So if you open up all of them, they're going to be the same one. Instead of you having a long line of loads of information, you can close those that you don't have any use for. In the next part, depending if you've used the rows down here or not, I'm just going to go through really quick how it works. So this is something you can choose to, for example, if you have an older project where you already have a lot of information that you want to save into an object template, you can do that from old projects if you want to. The only thing you need to do is go into that project, right click, object, save as object template. An object template includes, for example, I'm going to choose a template here. And now I've already told the program that I want the colors need to be orange, and it's going to calculate this down here. So you can do a lot of presets or your own templates depending on what you want to measure. And if we go on a line, we have something else, and you just start measuring and it will calculate. So if you want to build one of these, you can do this in two different ways. You can do it from a project, or you can go straight down to the left side and start building your object template from here as well. The first thing you need to do, you need always to create a new category. I will type this in demo. And I need to do as well in the objects, I need to do a category as well. So now when I go back to my project, and let's create a template. So first of all, I'm going to describe for the program what do I want to know about this object. So let's say I need something from the floor, the walls, the ceiling, and let's put in some skirts. The material column is now there for you to put in some more information. For example, if it's a parquet floor, oak, walls, that's the wall paint, ceiling also, you can just type in paint. And the skirts is 12 times 56 white. In the amount column, we are going to use the variables standing on the side here. So if I want to have the floor, it's A for the square meters. The wall is a W. The roof or the ceiling is the area as well. And the length around the room is on the letter L. So now I created a room. If I want to save this as an object template, I right click, save as a template. Where do you want to save it? I want to save it in this one here. What do I want to call the template? Let's say office standard. Next, where do I want to save my rows? I want to save it here as well. And there we go. Now I can use this template on all my next coming project or in this project as well. So when I start measuring a new one, I can pre-select a template and just start measuring. All of the templates that are created are stored in the company. So if I make a template, it's going to be usable for every user in the company. So everything is shared. So if I open up here and say, yeah, this template over here, I don't need that one. Please don't delete it, because if you delete it, you're going to delete it for everyone else. So all the templates are for the whole company. There is an update coming where we can set some rules, who is allowed to delete or modify a template, but that is something coming. As for now, everything is open and usable by everyone in the company. So if you don't need it, please don't delete it if it's not your own. There we go. You can still hear me, yeah? Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. So the object templates are there for you to basically in the beginning to pre-create certain standards that you are working with. And if everyone is using that, it's going to be quite you can recognize exactly what room and what needs to be done. And everyone in the company works in the same way, which is quite important. We have another tool that is, for example, where you can say it's another step up from a object template, something called a control folder. A control folder is created for me to preset that everything in that folder needs to be handled in a certain way. So if I add one of these folders, which is add control folder, there we go. If I make a measurement and put it in that folder, I've already told the program that every time I make one of these, it needs to be purple, and this is what it needs to be calculated. So this is to minimize mistakes. I'm forcing my object to be in a certain way. And this concludes for every single tool. So in a control folder, I can preset, for example, if I put a line in that folder, how it should react, an area, and so on. And of course, if you just want to work with normal folders, you can do that as well. So the difference, if I try to zoom in here, the difference you can see there's a cogwheel on the control folder, and the one that's a normal folder doesn't have one. So the difference between those two is that I'm forcing the object to handle in a certain way. In a normal folder, you're free to use it as you want to. And out of these, you can also then make some structure like templates, which could look like this. I just need to log in here, sorry. If I open up a project, I can add a whole structure. Now is this one in Swedish, but I've added a structure that I'm normally working from. This is something called a base AB. Yeah, that's something that the Swedish market are you working from. So what it says here, it's the groundworks, the house, the roof, the facades, and so on. This is a specific way they are working when they are calculating. But what I've done here is I put in different types, and then I've added some control folders inside of these, which will be when I start measuring, I can just choose, and the program will handle it in that way that I've already selected it to. So I'm forcing the program to be in a certain way. There is a small little uphill when you start and setting up all of these stuff. But after you've completed some of them or just the basics, you're gonna get so much more speed into your estimations. So you can use this in different ways. You can make object templates just to handle, for example, colors and names, if you want to just go in a very basic level. But if you want to go into detail, we could start calculating like very heavy with a load of these like formulas and so on. If you need help with the formulas or something that you need to calculate, please contact me, because I have quite good knowledge and I already have loads of these uh, in my own little calculation file, which I'm happy to share with you as well. And those rows you can actually just copy and paste them in and save them for yourself. So I'll be happy to share those with you as well. In all of these, with all the objects and control folders, it's possibilities. You don't need to use them if you don't want to. You can still work in the same way as you've done before. In the top corner here where it says tender, this is a function where if you need to change something in your current tender or in the project, make a big adjustment to something, change materials or something else, don't do it in the original. You click up here and you can say as this one is active, but I would actually do a duplicate. And now I can switch between two different calculations of the same project. So for example, version 2. So this is to keep the history backwards going. So when you start your project, you have one result or one outcome. The customer calls you and he wants to change. Yeah, it could be small stuff, but it could also be big. Make a duplicate and start working in the version 2 or the next one. This could also be used to do alternative calculations. Because what happens when you duplicate one of these, you have the possibility to go back and see exactly what happened. So you have the history backwards and of course the live one today as well. So please use this one here. If you click a new estimate instead, what happens that you will get a blank tender. You will have the same blueprints or the PDFs, but there's no measurements. So if you duplicate, we will bring all the measurement with us as well. And here is where you're going to make all the changes. So for example, we are not going to do the floors in here. Delete. So now I have two different versions of the same project with different results. I hope you understand how it works. Something that is also new in this version is the search and filter function. It's been extended quite a lot. So if I select these rooms here, I can, for example, put on a status saying that this one is, these 4 rooms are completed. And if I use the search function up here, I can tell the program to show me every single room that is completed or not completed. So it's easy to, you can see on the PDF that it's actually hiding what I'm searching for. And this could go all the way into detail, even on a specific row. So I want to tell the program that it needs to be completed. And the rows does or doesn't contain. So if I say floor, you can see now it's only going to show me the rows that I've searched for. So this is for you to actually use in the end of a project, maybe to see that you haven't made any mistakes or forgot to put in a certain material in a certain room and so on. So I can filter what rooms doesn't have the floor one. If I delete this one here, you can see what happens. So the room doesn't contain rows floor. Sorry. There we go. So I can search for specific stuff in here as well. So that's a little bit about the function or the search function. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward that you can work in the same way as you've done before. But I would suggest that you start using the templates and have like a preset for the company. So everyone, when they are doing a project, it looks basically exactly the same. So every person could navigate in each other's, just go into each other's project, and it's going to be easier to navigate through it. So put up a standard, start working from there. And this is something that can come little by little. You don't need to like put in all of it at the same time. You can save as you go, as you're making more projects or something that you need to save as a template. You can start building slowly up if you want to. So we have the rows, which only tells you the information that you want to have from an object. The object is a preset. So if I want to create a template, I can make it from here or from inside the project. So the object's here, new template. I want to have it as an area. What do you want to call it? Do you want it to increment the number and the tag by itself? So it will start on 001, next one will be 002, and so on. How do you want it to look? What fill color, border color? If you want to have presented the area and the name, and how do you want that one to look? The labels on the sides, if you want to use the length and the walls, the ceiling height, and then if you want to have the rows, you can go in and select, for example, I only want to have one row in this one. There we go. And if I go back to the project, start selecting, there we go, we have the template. There. And if I make that one, it's going to follow exactly the settings that I've already pre-made. the control folder here. So let's make a new one. Now I'm going to tell the program that on the areas that is going to be in this folder is going to look like the one we just made. Set a template, and I can set different templates on different tools in the same folder. If I add a control folder, if I start, for example, moving these areas inside of this folder, confirm moving our object to the control folder, this will also change the outcome. So now I've changed these three over here and what it needs to be calculated. So this is to minimize mistakes. So you can put up like very hard walls in a template that these needs to be calculated in this certain way. And this one cannot be changed. The only thing you can affect is the amount. So a normal folder would just act like a folder. You can do whatever you want in that one. But if you move it to a template folder or control folder, I'm going to force the object to be in a certain way. So when you're starting this, as I said, you need to first go in and start a new category so the program knows where it needs to be saved. And now you can choose to build it from the project or from the rows or the objects in here as well. Any questions so far?
No.
No? Did I explain it good enough so you understand how it works?
Yeah.
As I said before, it's not, you don't need to use the functions, but it's quite important to know they do exist. Some of our users are using this function to basically just set up the standards, what color and what name on the objects they are doing. They are not using the rows down here. But I do actually promote a little bit that you are gonna using the rows, because there is a difference between not using and using it. So if you look on the object values on the right side, this is the values for this room. It's the raw measurement data. This is just how big or how long and so on the object is. And what I've done down here is actually telling program, this is what I want to know about the object. So it's a unspecified data, and in the bottom I have a specified data. That's the difference between them. And of course we can export all of these as we did before. We have a copy to clipboard, and you can copy paste it into your choose program, or you can save it as a CSV file. On top of all of this, we've also built in something that is called a webhook. A webhook is the possibility for Geometra to send information to any program of your choosing. There is some more technical terms and so on behind it. So if you are interested to connecting Geometra to other programs, which I can show you and discuss what you need to do to make it work. It's a little bit more difficult than that. But if there's something that you're interested in, I'll be happy to help you and show you how it works. So for example, what I can do is when I start measuring a project in Geometra, I can tell the program to start making a Excel file send an email, start typing a message in Teams. I can do a lot of automation from the program with those webhooks. So you can start like streaming live information from Geometra. Every single update you are doing, I can make it. Yeah, you can make loads of stuff with that.